Hey, good evening, everybody. It's Donnie with Stitch and 3D Print Studio. It's been about a week since I have posted a video. Been kind of on a little hiatus here from YouTube. It's been a really busy week last week. I kind of feel like our little business is kind of at a crossroads. I told you at the beginning of this I was going to give you the good, the bad, the ugly. This is not really, I wouldn't say ugly or necessarily bad. I'm feeling like we need to kind of start going maybe in a little bit different direction with some of the stuff we're doing with our business. Some of you that follow 3D printing very much have probably seen the news that the company behind the little Labubu dolls, whether you love or hate those things, they are quite popular, and there were people that were putting their own 3D printed versions of those on Bambu Labs Maker World site, and people were obviously downloading those and printing them and selling them at shows. And Pop Mart, the company behind the Labubu, does not like that, and you can kind of understand that. And it's kind of started to open up this big can of worms, and this can get to be kind of a controversial subject when it comes to 3D printing, because some people feel like when you use other people's intellectual property like Marvel, Disney, Nintendo, Pokemon, some of those really popular ones. Some people feel like you can make that stuff, sell it at shows. You're really not even putting a tiniest dent in their income by doing that. But on the other hand, you are using somebody else's property that they, in a lot of cases, trademarked or even filed for patents for and things like that. So you're using their stuff without their permission, and you're not giving them any kind of a cut of it. And they're going to hire attorneys, and they're going to go after you when you do that kind of stuff. So the people that do that are risking that repercussion, or people coming after them. And you're hearing more and more stories about it happening, and taking their product, finding them. I've heard, I'm not even sure if they can legally do some of that kind of stuff, but I'm hearing stories about it. And just honest, full disclosure, some of the products that we have sold this past year and that have actually done quite well for us would fall into that category. And a lot of people will call it fan art, and some people will try to take those things and change them enough that they try to say, okay, this is different enough, it's my own creation. They can't really say that I'm ripping off their design, but still, I think if it were to come down to it, at the end of the day, you probably would, you'd have a case for a company to come after you and sue you and probably win. So I feel like, we need to step back, evaluate what we're selling, how we're selling it, where we're selling it, things like that. And, I've often felt like, and I've heard this too, that the best way to sell products in 3D printing is to find niche, I'm not really sure what the proper way to say that word is, but to find those niche areas that are underserved, or that have products that could be improved significantly and things like that, and go find those areas and come up with products that solve problems for people. And that's where you really can do well and make good money in this business. So, and we've already been doing that. We do have some super niche products that we sell to trading card shops, and we also have some products that we sell on Etsy that are accessories for eyeglasses, and those have done really well for us. And we really need to push, advertising that, contacting more shops and things like that, and showing them our product. I think we could really go somewhere with that as well. I do have limitations as to how much I can work with this stuff, because I don't think I've ever revealed this before in any of my videos, but I'm actually disabled. A couple of years ago, I had a back surgery after my back kind of fell apart on me, and that back surgery left me with permanent nerve damage in my left foot and left leg. The surgeon that did the surgery, which was a double, what's the word they call for it, fusion at the bottom two vertebrae. When they were putting the metal rods and screws and stuff like that in there, one of those screws got put into the sciatic nerve that goes down my left leg. And it took almost a year for them to go in and do imaging and figure that out. And he even went back in there and took it out, but the damage had been done. It didn't change anything. So it's left me with a situation where I have to take lots of pain medication 24/7. And although I have arrived at a place, and it's taken a couple of years to get there, but I've arrived at a place where I'm getting good pain relief, but the medication makes me tired and fatigued all the time. And so that makes it really hard to work. It makes it really hard to think straight. I mess up prints sometimes. I have gone in there in the middle of the night when I was trying to run the print farm 24/7 to get ready for a show, and I swapped out a color in the middle of the night on something, and it was the wrong color, and then the next morning I walked in there with a ruined print. And it's happened more than once, and so it is frustrating, and it's made it really hard, because I'm not the type of person that just can sit around and do nothing all day. That's not my thing. Some people can do that and be okay with it. I have to be doing something with, not only with my brain, but with my hands, and I really enjoy working with my hands and doing stuff. And 3D printing is great because in a lot of cases, except for like our light boxes that we sell, there's not a lot of work that has to be done to the products after they're made, with the exception of taking them off the build plate. Sometimes you have to hit them with a heat gun to kind of clean them up a little bit if there's a little bit of stringing, something like that. And even the light boxes aren't that bad because I can sit and I can do that, and I can stay off my feet a lot. Now, setting up for shows, that's a whole different ballgame. That's really hard for me, and we've gotten to a point where we can do a lot of our shows where we can set up the day before, and so that way I don't have to come in there like on a Saturday morning, set up for a show, work it all day, and that's really, really hard for me to do because I'm not as physically fit as I was. I don't have the kind of stamina to do that like I did. So anyway, didn't mean to go off on a big tangent on that whole thing, but I felt like I kind of needed to give you a little bit of a backstory there so you can kind of understand why I feel like we've got to make some decisions. We've got to be careful how much stuff we're trying to make. We don't want to be making way too many products for way too many markets. I think that's going to set us up for failure because you can't serve everybody. You really have to find out what you're good at, what markets you can really serve, and then really go after those markets, go after those products, and try to keep it narrowed down to a smaller number of products. You don't want to do the shotgun approach and try to be everything to everybody with your products. So with that said, we are looking at some different things. We have joined a service called STL Flix. It's they call it the Netflix of 3D printing. They sell a lot of different models, everything from like cosplay stuff to fun stuff with like animals and dragons, to functional products like home decor and kitchen accessories, like computer desk accessories. There's a lot of cool stuff like that you can do. And another thing that they have too that has become common in 3D printing now is they have some AI generated capabilities that you can do, where you can take either a photo or even just an idea and enter it into an AI software and generate actual real products and models. And it has some limitations. It's still in its early stages of being used, but the potential of it is massive. I mean, AI is one of those things that where, on one hand, it really scares me to death what it's doing and what it can do, and putting people out of jobs and things like that. But on the other hand, it has some really good uses, and 3D printing is one of those areas, I think, where there's a lot of potential for it. And so we're going to try to tap into some of that as much as I can with my brain being in a fog a lot of times. I'm going to try to tap into that more and try to do some super niche products like we're doing now, but in some different areas, and start moving away from so many of the products. Like we sell a lot of dragons, and just to be honest with you, they're not my favorite thing to sell because so many other 3D printers sell dragons as well. And we're going to keep making dragons as long as they sell, as long as there's a market there. We're going to keep selling them. But I don't feel like that's a market that's going to stay there indefinitely. I feel like that market's going to, you can already kind of see it starting to decline some, and I feel like it's going to continue to do that because it's so saturated now. There's so many people, you're even starting to see companies from China selling 3D printed dragons in Walmart. I've seen dragons and dragon eggs and things like that in Walmart and Dollar General and places like that now, and it's, it's ridiculous how many places these things are showing up in. And so that's just kind of some of the stuff that I feel like we're going to need to slowly start, not selling, basically. So all that in a nutshell, I probably went way around the world to get back to my point, is that we're kind of at a crossroads. We kind of need to move into some other areas, kind of find some niche products. Sorry about that. That was my puppy dog over here coughing his lungs up. But anyway, just wanted to check in with you guys and kind of let you guys know why I haven't been on here. It's a lot of planning that I've been doing, a lot of thinking, a lot of praying, trying to figure out, kind of the direction we need to go with things. And so going to give you an update on the Master Chief helmet here real soon. I have been working on him some, but I've got a couple other things I need to do to him, and time's running out. Our show is this Saturday and Sunday, so I got to get after it and get him done. So I'll be giving you that long-awaited update on Master Chief helmet when I get some more stuff going here, and hopefully get the visor made for him so we can show him off at our next show. Because that's another area that I feel like we could do more in, is cosplay, because that's really popular these days, and so I really feel like we can do more with that. So anyway, we'll catch you guys on the next one.